There seems to be some confusion as to how to prune certain types of hydrangeas. What I want to go over today is how to prune limelight hydrangeas. Hey, I'm Dr. Tom Warren, and you're watching The Plant Doctor. What you're going to need is a pair of bypass pruners, and the procedure is really simple here. So limelight hydrangea blooms on new wood, meaning that they bloom on the terminal ends of new growth. You can see here, these are the flowers from this past summer. So really we can cut these back a long ways, and that's why I like using these bypass loppers here. We just go all the way back to the main trunk for these individual branches split off, and I'm cutting just above those main trunks. And this process goes really fast. I can probably have this entire limelight pruned in 45 seconds. And so what I'll do is I'm gonna prune this one. I'm gonna bring the camera over so that you can see the individual cuts. We'll get some nice close-ups of what I'm doing here. You could do this with hand pruners, but some of the branches, the diameter is really thick, and if you don't have really strong hands, you may have an issue with getting some of them cut. I got one more I want to cut here. All right, that's it. Let's bring the camera over and I'll show you what we have. Okay, so we're left with something like this. There's a few little twigs here. I got a pair of hand pruners. I'm just gonna go through and clean this up just a smidge. I missed that one earlier. But these tiny ones I couldn't get to with the big loppers. We're just gonna go in here and clean this up. And I wanna show you, I've been pruning it this way for several years. I get great results. So you can see the new cuts, there's still green cambium. That's one we just cut, but you can see the previous year's cuts if you look here. There's one there. That's an old cut there. There's another old cut. So what's gonna happen, there's a perfect example here. So this was last year's cut. The branches for this year came out just below it. So what's gonna happen here, for example, on this year's cut, we're going to have buds develop on each one of these. There'll be 2 or 3 buds here. There'll be 2 or 3 buds here on each one of these that we cut. 2 or 3 buds on this one. And once it warms up, those buds will shoot out and become the vegetative growth, and then we'll get new flowers here in May and June and July when the limelights really show off. When you're in here pruning, one thing I want you to look for is stuff like this. I'm gonna pull this up. This is a good opportunity to get in here and clean up some stuff. That's a little water oak that's sprouted in here. There's actually 2 or 3 of them. There's a few more right there. That might be a willow oak. But what we can't do, we can't come in here in the summertime when these are actively growing and be spraying weed killers, because we might hurt our hydrangeas. So as you're pruning and you're cleaning up all the material that's dormant on top, one thing I would encourage you to do is go through and just pull up any weeds that are underneath it. One thing I failed to mention is we're doing this obviously when the plant is dormant. So today is December the 2nd. So really what I do is starting in December and really going through the first part of the new year, anything that's deciduous like this, I go through and I'll start to prune some of that stuff, as long as it's appropriate. Things like forsythia we're not pruning because they're already budded up to flower in February, but things that are going to flower later on in the year that don't already have flower buds, I'm going to go through things like limelight hydrangea, and I'm going to prune those back. Guys, as always, thank you for watching The Plant Doctor, and until next time, happy gardening.